Because I know you know this game really well
Yeah.
as well, right?
hmm Yeah,
This
I
is one
did
of those
this.
games that I played as a kid and just could never get anywhere with it.
Yeah, really. I mean, even the first couple stages are just so hard, and so a lot of players really give up quickly, and understandably so. I sure did as well as a kid. But yeah, once you get into it, it's actually kind of gets a little bit easier as it goes on. It's because you start with such little health. But I really love this game. There's a lot to know about it. It's a really cool game.
And there's some definitely some risky glitches that, if when you're first picking them up, seem impossible. So when you see these guys just nail them, not to jinx it or anything, but these guys are pros. Um, Keep in mind that it takes thousands of attempts, maybe an hour of just constant practice on some of those wall glitches that you'll see to just get it down and to get the feel for it.
Yep, most definitely.
Oh, I should start talking then, huh?
Hey, Darkrai.
I'm just listening to the the stuff that looked like Glory Hog was given. I'm like, I just want to hear more of that.
My reminiscing of this game kicking my butt.
Or how good we are at it.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
That's kind of my, you know.
That's what
I
it
know I
showed
need
up
to
for.
stroke your speedrunner's egos to set them up.
Yeah, I know. It's great. Now, am I okay on the cropping video and audio and that? Maybe.
Dexter's probably looking into it.
I'm, video's all good, set up and good.
Okay, 1 second. One last moment.
Hang on. I need to turn you guys up a little bit on my speakers, so hopefully it doesn't come through my mic, through the speakers. Actually, I knew that would happen. I'm going to run my own splits on this, so. I didn't do this on Goonies last night. I figured I'd do it on Kid Icarus. A little bit longer run.
Yes, so Darkwing, just let us know when you're good, and we'll start you off.
Just on the start continue screen, I'm good to go.
Okay. Jorf, you're
I
good as
assume
well?
Jorf is here to hear the countdown.
He
Okay,
says
great.
he's going to keep quiet.
All right.
Okay, so here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, so Kid Icarus, as we were saying, a very hard game, and I'm sure that you remember it as being hard from all of your childhoods. It starts off just immediately difficult. Once you're in a run, this first level is pretty easy, but when you're first learning the game, I mean, there are all kinds of characters and enemies in this game that you'll remember, like the Reapers, the Eggplant Wizards, that just made this game so difficult to play through as a kid or just as a casual playthrough these days or whatever it may be. It's really just a hard game all in all, but there's a lot to know about it. A lot of the reason why it's so challenging is because people don't quite know just exactly how to go through it more safely. Basically, there are a few things you can do in this game to get stronger. In order to increase your health, you start with 7 HP, that little thin bar in the upper left, but you can actually expand that by defeating different enemies, and you see when they finish a level that, depending on how many enemies that they defeated, that score will go up. It'll probably be zero or very little in this first level, but you can see where there's kind of room for it. And as you get a higher score, you expand your health that way. But there's this separate mechanic called strength. Basically, in certain levels, such as 1, 2 here, the level they're in now, there are these doors that contain Zeus in them. Every enemy has a specific, or there are different ways where you can increase your skill points, they're called. And these are different from the actual health points, where these skill points are unique to the specific level you're on. You start with 0, and by the time you get to a Zeus door, you need to have 10,000 of these skill points. The zoo store in this level comes at the very end of the level, and there's a bunch of different ways to get these skill points, but the biggest one is by defeating enemies and collecting their hearts. You can see that whenever they defeat an enemy, the enemy drops behind a heart or a heart piece. If the enemy drops a small heart, then killing the enemy grants you 100 skill, and collecting the heart grants you 100 skill. If it's a half a heart, then like a large half heart, then it's 300 and 300. If it's a large full heart, then it's 500 and 500. So you need to plan out all the different enemies that you defeat in each level, so that by the time you get to the zoo store, you can ensure that you get that strength upgrade. Because the reason strength upgrades are so important is that your arrows at the beginning of the game start out by doing 1 damage. And every strength upgrade increases your strength by 1. So after this one, they're now doing 2 damage, which is a huge upgrade. I mean, that's twice as much damage as they were doing before. They'll be getting 2 different strength upgrades in this game. They already got this one in 1.2, and they'll also be getting one in 2.1 later on.
I took 2-1-2 very badly.
So they're now going into 1.3, and as I mentioned, I mean, they're not going to have that extra little health bonus until, like, probably very early in World 2. So in the meantime, they'll need to traverse World 1 with the little amount of health that they do have. Fortunately, I mean, 1.2, the level that they just completed, can be very difficult, but fortunately they both executed it quite well, and they're coming into 1.3 with quite a lot of health each. It's very, very close right now, really just a couple seconds difference. Solid race so far, but there's so much that can happen in this race, and we're only in the beginning, so we'll see how it goes. 1.3 is a very, very difficult level. There's tons of stuff that can kind of catch you off guard. Jorf, unfortunately, took a couple of hits from the flying octopi. And he has a nasty fall. So 1.3 is a very difficult level, certainly.
I almost died.
And you don't even... There are ways that you can replenish your health. There are 3 main ways. One is by collecting these little small chalices, which are either strewn about the levels or collected in shops. But you won't be seeing one of those until 2.1, which is a couple stages from now. So that's really why the stretch of stages from 1.2 until 2.1 is so difficult, because you just don't have that benefit of regaining your health via a chalice. The other main way is just by dying at the beginning of the stage. That does refill your health, and it gives you between 7 to 15, either 7 or 15, depending on what your max health is currently. The last one is that there are these health pools throughout the game, which restore your health very, very slowly, but it's just so slow that it's really not even worth it, and so you won't be seeing that in a run. So we're seeing the end of 1.3 here. Again, I mean, it's these Reapers, which are just so iconic of this game, and if they happen to see you in their glance, they'll summon these Reapets into the level, which start flying around. You can see one went crazy there on Darkwing's screen, but fortunately,
yeah, it was good timing.
Close. Fortunately, it was so close to the end of the level that it didn't really matter. So now we're in 1.4. There are 4 different worlds of this game, and the first 3 worlds, the 4th stage in each of those first 3 worlds, ends in a fortress. So it's kind of this gigantic maze-like level where you'll have to navigate them, but fortunately each one of the fortress levels has a skip of some kind which makes them easier. Darkwing immediately gets the first skip in...
Let's try every time.
And is able to skip a huge part of the dungeon by just kind of clipping slightly into the wall and timing his jump so that he is able to jump kind of and do a sequence break through a lot of the level. This is the first boss name. His name is Hudraw. And Darkwing might potentially get unlucky here if he turns... Actually, he won't turn around. But,
oh, shoot. Okay, good.
The edge of my seat. Oh man, if Darkwing did take that final hit there, it would have been even Steven, but he's able to finish him off with 1 health remaining. Darkwing, are you gonna go through 2.1, or are you gonna take a death? What do you think?
No, I'm gonna go through 2.1.
All right.
I should be able to do it without dying.
So Darkwing has 1 health. The chalice that he'll need to refill his health is halfway through the stage. There are a lot of different things which kind of take you by surprise, whether it be these rocks or...
Well,
so much for that, huh?
I didn't do my jump. That's a good place to die, though. It's not too...
Yeah, it wasn't too far into the level. So he gets his full health back, and Jorf is able to kind of eke out some time there. But what makes this huge boss at the end of World 1 so difficult is that there's just a small bit of randomness to him, and ideally you just kind of wedge yourself into him slightly and just spam your arrow attack, but and just hope that he kind of gets stuck there. You'll see it on Jorf's screen here. But ideally he just kind of gets stuck there and just takes a ton of different arrow hits. But sometimes he'll move towards you slightly, but even in the worst case scenario, Jorf has enough health here to see a couple bad luck pieces come up. So Darkwing with like half a stage lead here. You did see Jorf do this crouch canceling move, and the way that it works basically, if you just stand and spam your arrow attack in this game, your shots will come out like da 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 da. But you can kind of interrupt that cooldown by ducking in between your arrow shots, so that if you shoot like B down, B down, B down, B down in a alternating motion like that, you're able to shoot potentially 30 times a second, and it kind of cancels that cooldown. So you can really get a lot of shots in. So you're going to see a lot of that for the boss, for each one of the bosses. Well, for the first 2 bosses. We actually don't see the 3rd boss any longer in a run. We'll get to that later. So Jorf is continuing through 2-1. 2-1 is the World 2 is unlike the other worlds in this game in that it's a horizontal world. Most of the other 2 worlds are strictly vertical, but World 2 takes you horizontally, and so it's a little different like that. 2-1, as I mentioned before, is the other stage where you want to get a strength upgrade. So unlike most of the levels, like you saw in 1-2, in 2-1, Jorf and Darkwing are defeating a lot of enemies so that they get that strength upgrade at the end of the stage. Fortunately, in 2-1, there are these rock enemies which fall from the sky, which give you large hearts. So if you defeat a rock enemy for 500 points, and collect the heart for another 500 points, that's 1,000 points right there, and you can just do that 10 times and have enough for the 10,000 point Zeus thing. So on Darkwing's screen here, this is one of the coolest parts of this game. I mean, this game just has so much to it. Darkwing was able to do a zip there at the very beginning of the stage, which Jorf actually found, and he wrapped around from the left side of the screen to the right, and that's how you see that he's so far to the right side of the screen. So 2-2 actually is a little bit easy. All that it takes is to really memorize the position. Since you're so far to the right of the screen, you just need to memorize the position of what's coming up, or have a fast reflex time. The reason that they want to do this in 2-2 is that you'll see these moving vertical platforms coming up. If you're too far to the left of the screen, / in the middle, then you can potentially get unlucky, and you won't be able to make a lot of the platform cycles. Another benefit is that you see these kind of flying watermelon enemies, and you see Jorf just pulled off the zip there as well. These flying watermelon enemies on Darkwing's screen don't go all the way to the right side of the screen, so you don't need to preoccupy yourself with either avoiding or damaging them. So again, I mean, the worst that can happen in this stage is you miss a jump and you die, because obviously falling to the bottom of the screen is instant death in this game. So that's kind of the worst case scenario. Health isn't too much of a concern, and so really, like in a speed run, you usually finish this stage in exactly the same amount of time. You might lose a little bit of time in setting up the zip early on, something like that, but really this stage should be pretty simple overall.
It's basically an auto-scroller.
Yeah. You'll see the zip again coming up in the next stage, 2-3. 2-3 is one of the hardest stages in the game, because even though you're able to zip to the right side of the screen, you're able to wrap around to the right side of the screen, there are still, unlike in 2-2, the platform cycles in 2-3 are very difficult to make, and are potentially, it kind of varies, which we'll get into, but depending on the luck you get on the platform spawns, you can, it can be very, very difficult, or fairly difficult. And so just making these platform jumps, you'll see, is very difficult. And you'll see Darkwing, the first one of the three is very early on. I'm not sure if they'll be going for all three because doing the alternate choice isn't that bad. But the first one is an important one to make. So Darkwing's coming up on it right now. We'll see if he makes it. His alignment is good, so he's able to make it. But yeah, I mean, you can see there that the platform that he was walking off of just ends so closely to where you need to jump off that you need to jump very precisely with precise timing in order to make it. The reason that the platform spawns are luck dependent is that because there's a RAM address in this game. Every kind of floating enemy besides repets or floating platform has a specific RAM address associated with it, and only 4 of these can be allocated at a time. So enemies actually share the same RAM addresses as the platforms. And so that means that once a platform needs to spawn, if the enemy in its associated or respective RAM address is still on screen, that enemy needs to despawn in order for the platform to spawn. So Darkwing, the second one was close, but Darkwing is able to make both of the jumps. And we'll see if Jorf is able to as well. Jorf kind of got set back a little bit by hitting a platform, but he has a couple different options to reposition himself if he wants to. So getting back to the platform stuff, because platforms and enemies share a RAM address, not only does that mean that one needs to replace the other, it also means that they share each other's speeds. And so if a flying watermelon enemy or whatever other type of floating enemy is flying up when a platform spawns, then that means that that platform will also be initially moving up. If the flying enemy is moving down, then the platform will be moving down before it needs to go up, just briefly. So so you really need to kind of get a bit lucky in terms of where a flying enemy is at a given point in time, and what motion what direction it's moving in when a platform spawns. Because Jorf had unfortunately hit against a wall earlier, he did need to reset his position and lost a bit of time there. So Darkwing is coming up on a very important part here. It's this zip in a pool of lava. Let's see if he's able to get it. He's very low on health. Oh, and he does get it with 2 health remaining. That can be a very precise jump. Basically, not only are you in this pool of lava that's sapping your health, but you need to do two separate 2-frame inputs in a row, so that in order to even get the zip at all. So it can often take a lot of time, and since you're in a pool of lava, it can take so much time that you need to die and start over. So it can be very, very risky. Darkwing is coming up, so Jorf will be coming up on that zip very soon as well. Darkwing has come up on one of my favorite bosses in the well, it's definitely my favorite boss in the game, but one of my favorite bosses in any game in general, Draw. We talked a bit before about how important it is to kind of crouch cancel your shots so that you can fire as rapidly as possible. There's no luck to Draw here, but what that means is you always know exactly where he'll be. And so timing your arrow shots is extremely important, because you can just gain or lose so much time. You know exactly what he's going to do. It's all on you to be able to time your shots correctly and crouch cancel properly in order to attack him as quickly as possible. So how do you feel about that fight there, Darkwing? Yes, that's
got it.
Nice.
Sorry, I was concentrating on that.
Exactly. Oh, that was close too. So yeah, actually, if you look at Darkwing's health right now, he has literally 0 health. He does not have any health. He died just as the previous screen's load started. So he died in the pool of lava as the stage said, okay, it's time for the stage to end. And Jorf will likely be trying that too here. So since he's at 0 health, he's actually able to refill his health entirely by hitting a stage hazard. It's specifically kind of this pink jellyfish thing coming up. So if he gets hit by anything else, then he'll die. but once he gets hit by these kind of pink jellyfish things you see on the screen now, it refills his health from 0
Ah.
to full.
Oh well.
So he actually missed a cycle needing to get that, but that's fine. So Jorf will be doing it again here. So watch Jorf's screen. We'll see if he can get it. He's going to be hoping to hit that. Oh, never mind. He's not trying. Or maybe he is. I don't know. He doesn't have to. I think he... Oh, yeah. So he's 1 health off, unfortunately. So what he'll probably do is he'll just take the death at the beginning of the stage. That is 6 seconds slower than the health glitch. So a small time loss there. Darkwing moves on to 3-2. This World 3 is actually my favorite world of the game. There are a lot of precise jumps needed, and it's just really, really fun overall. And you'll be seeing these Kamado enemies later on, which you might recognize from another game / series. But they're Kamados, I swear.
Yeah, they're not, but you think they are. See if I can get this. Hey, I did.
3-2 for the most part isn't too bad. What were you hoping for the... Let's see.
Well, I didn't get seen early on by the rebets,
Okay,
so I got rebets at the wrong time. But I got a lot of health, so I can absorb it.
So
Not ideal.
yeah, 3-2 is really cool as well. We won't be seeing any more strength upgrades. Another neat thing about this game is, I mean, we're passing by all these doors. There are so many different types of rooms in this game, from rooms which just are there to strictly give you like enemies to kill for either strength or for additional health. There are shops, of course. There are kind of like gambling rooms where you can try and get a credit card. There are just a bunch of different types of rooms. You don't really see many in the speedrun just because they're all so unnecessary.
Do I take the death here or not? Let's take it, because
Leaving it to you.
3-4 is a pain. I doubt I'll do it quickly.
So the beginning of 3-3 is pretty cool because we talked about how enemies and elevators can kind of interact with each other. You actually kill 2 of these Kamado enemies at very precise times in order to spawn the elevators exactly where you want them. So you can see there, Darkwing moved in a very precise way to make sure that the 2 final enemies in that string of 4 were exactly where he wanted them to be, so that all of these elevators would spawn exactly how he wanted them to. If he had messed that up, then he would have potentially lost a cycle on those platforms, which can be a huge time loss.
It's very easy to do those too fast.
And I think, honestly, this game is kind of so deep that I get the sense that there are some platforms, especially in 1-3, that we still haven't really been able to kind of suss out exactly how to manipulate them. Because there are certain cycles you can meet or miss, and right now it feels like it's a little bit luck-based because we haven't been able to get the manipulation just right and figured out all the little tiny details. So there is room for a little bit more research in this game, but we've put a lot of time into it and haven't been able to figure it out. So Jorf is going for this elevator manipulation as well. You can see there that he... Oh, it was close. He almost missed a shot, but he followed it up and it was just fine. All he needed to do was basically make sure that the Kamados were heading into the right direction instead of the left when he shot them. So Glory Hog mentioned that there's some new tech into this game that was found by our very own Bad Breaks when he was just messing around in this game in a room that there's no reason to even be in. He was experimenting and found this very interesting glitch, which is now important in the run. So there's this... Wow, Darkwing gets the other zips first try. So there's going to be this room where... this shop room, and when Darkwing is able to do the same kind of zip he did before, as he wraps through the screen, to the seam between the 2 sides of the screen, if he times his jump correctly, you're going to be seeing something very interesting, because this shop room is actually in the he didn't time the jump correctly. This shop room is actually on the far right side of this gigantic dungeon maze. And so the game doesn't know what to do, because normally it would just say, like, it would try and I think like throw him into the door that would normally be there, something like that. But because this room is on the far right side of the dungeon, he's able to just say jump, and the level gets skipped entirely. So that actually dodges and skips this very random boss called Pandora at the end of World 3, which was formerly a huge luck factor in runs. But now with the loss of Pandora, there's significantly less luck in the game. So Jorf is going for that same skip now. Darkwing is in the final stage. It's 4-1. World 4 only has this one auto-scroller stage, but it's a long one regardless. The idea... Oh, Jorf got that skip pretty quickly, so well done to him. The idea behind this auto-scroller stage is that you need to be able to kill 50 enemies before the stage loops. If you don't kill 50 enemies, then the stage just completely loops and you lose another like 3 minutes or something. 2 to 3 minutes. So you want to be sure that you kill these 50 enemies. Fortunately, it's not that difficult in a speedrun, but if you don't know what enemies to expect in a casual playthrough, you can potentially be trapped in quite a loop and just be seeing the same parts of the level over and over. Or if you just don't know and aren't trying to defeat the enemies and you're just like hiding in the corner, you'll be in for a long playthrough that way. So there really isn't much time to be saved or lost here unless you miss that cycle. The final boss of the game is coming up. It's Medusa. And it's just kind of this boss that's stuck in a wall, and you just need to time your shots properly. It's actually the easiest boss in the game simply because there's a very, very large safe spot you can just kind of hover in. And as long as you time your shots correctly, you're really in no danger whatsoever. So once we see that pink wall on Darkwing's screen, we know that he's hit the 50 enemies, and he'll be progressing to the final boss of the game, Medusa. And as long as he doesn't run into Medusa, he's got it. And Jorf is right behind him. So you can see that, I mean, if Darkwing had flown just a little bit higher, then those Medusa waves would be firing more directly at him. But because of his positioning, they're just missing him entirely. And the only slight threat is this snake, which he sometimes pauses his shots to shoot. But other than that, I mean, it's really just kind of a freaky boss. And this kind of safe spot is large enough that it's very common to find in casual playthroughs. And I would say that that's usually how people end up beating this game.
Get ready on time. Done.
Alright, congrats Darkwing.
Thank you. I get
Jorf right
24, 45 or so.
Ooh. Yeah, that Pandora skip saves. What did you time it out to? Like 2-ish minutes?
About 220, I would guess. Somewhere in between 2 and 230. Just depends how fast. Like, I was terrible on the skip. On the on the shop skip, but...
And in the speedrunning world, a 5 or 10 second save is a big deal. So a 2 minute 30 second save is gigantic.
Yeah.
And especially because Pandora is just such a luck factor. It was so nice to say goodbye to that boss.
Yeah.
GG Jorf.
Yeah, Jorf finishes up too.
What was his time?
Solid runs, guys.
Might have been like a second too early, but 25, 18, 19.
Okay.
Hey, good game.
Yep. Good game.
Good runs, dudes.
I guess that 1-3 death was the determiner.
Oh yeah, I'm so disappointed by that.
That's what I was told anyway. I didn't see where. I don't know where you died. You just like I was clean. I was slow, but I was clean. So.
Yeah, you guys were only like 5 seconds apart or so when that death happened, so that was a pretty big loss.
Yeah, what happened was I hit a diagonal on the controller, and you can't jump while you're holding up, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I worry about down, especially going across the 2-1 square gaps in 2-2. I worry that I'll accidentally have diagonal down and I'll go down.
Oh yeah. Gotta be straight right or left all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but an excellent race for, 25-minute game to be that close, that tight. Really good. Really clean run by Darkwing. Nailing those skips first try.
Yeah, you've gotten so good at those.
Yeah, I got 1-4 first try, and then the lava skip and 3-1 and 3-4 first try. Took me 3 tries on the 2-4, and it took
So
me
is it
about a minute and a half on the shop for some reason.
the way that 3-4 is laid out? Is it personal preference whether you do the second zip or not, like the lava zip?
I think it's
Or is it
the
mandatory?
fastest.
Okay.
Yeah, it saves like 2 rooms or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, thank you guys so much for that. Blecky, another amazing commentary job. Darkwing and Jorf, give these guys a follow. Their Twitch links
I
are
don't-
in there. Jorf streams under Gafuggery. Darkwing Duck SDA. Did you have
I don't
something to say,
have my thing
Darkwing?
up to follow me, like I did yesterday. Oh well.
Oh,
All I've got is my leap.
but yeah, thank you guys. Really great. We've been, guys have been being promoted in chat the whole time. You guys were racing, so definitely follow those guys. You know, a lot of people here know you guys already, but
Yeah.
if they're any part of the retro community. But to the newbies out there just finding us through Best in NES, these guys are great. Play lots of games, play them really well. And thanks again, Blecky.
Yep.
So next up, speaking of really great games.